Hey everyone, Ronan here, and welcome back to the channel. We got a massive part to cover in this finale today, but before we get into that, we gotta thank the patron as always. So James, thank you very much for your support over on Patreon. And as always, analytics are very important, so please don't forget to drop a like and a comment to help fuel the algorithm and get it to a larger audience. As well as if this is your first time here, please don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that way you'll never miss another upload from the channel. And if you want to support the channel even further, consider becoming a channel member or a patron. You'll get exclusive access to things that I don't post on the main channel and early access to everything that I do. And also, don't forget to go over to Spotify and catch my exclusive series that I have going on over there. What if Paul challenged the Kalos League? It's a direct sequel to one of my more popular what ifs that I've done in the past, and you may actually enjoy it. But with all that being said, let's get into the finale of What If Ash won the Pokemon World Championships Season 5 Sun and Moon Ultra Journeys. I hope you enjoy. Ash and Go sit side by side on the warm golden sands of Melemele Beach, the afternoon sun casting long shadows across the shore as the ocean waves roll in with a steady, calming rhythm. The battle between Kukui and Rinto earlier in the day still lingers in the air, a thrilling clash that left everyone buzzing with excitement. But now, the two boys are lost in their own thoughts, the silence between them heavy yet comfortable. Around them, their Pokemon play freely under the alolan sun. The scene is peaceful, almost idyllic, yet Go's mind is far from relaxed. Tomorrow, he's finally getting the chance to visit the Aether Paradise and dive into their research on the Ultra Beasts, a breakthrough he's been waiting for. The thought sends a thrill through him, but before he can fully savor it, Ash's voice cuts through the quiet. "You must be pumped about heading to the Aether Paradise tomorrow, huh?" Ash says, stretching his arms out behind his head. "Finally getting to see all the Ultra Beast data. Man, I wish I could come with you." Go blinks, turning to him. "What do you mean? Why can't you?" Ash grins, though there's a flicker of something else in his eyes. Determination, maybe even a hint of nervousness. Because I got my full battle with Rinto tomorrow? You know, my first title defense as Alola's champion? The realization hits Go like a thunderbolt. His stomach drops. How could he forget the battle was only a few hours earlier? And it's all anyone's been talking about. Ash's first major challenge since becoming champion. A 6-on-6 showdown that could define his reign. Guilt floods through him. "Ash, I'm sorry. I'll still be there. The Aether Foundation can wait. This is way more important." But Ash just laughs, shaking his head. "Nah, don't worry about it. I get it. This Ultra Beast stuff is huge. And it was fun when I got to experience all of it firsthand myself. The least I could do is let you get the chance to experience it in your own way. After all, there's a lot of stuff that the Aether Foundation has on them. It's fine if you miss the battle. Besides," Ash says, his voice softening slightly, "we're not always going to be traveling together, right? There will be times when we gotta do our own thing." Those words hang in the air, heavier than Ash probably intended. Go falls silent, staring at the horizon. The idea of not having Ash by his side, of their journeys splitting apart, feels strange, unsettling. But before he can respond, a sudden shift in the atmosphere pulls their attention. Dragonite, Naganadel, and Dracovish, usually so gentle and dopey, begin acting erratically on the beach. Their movements grow sharp, agitated. Dragonite's wings twitch, Naganadel's stinger buzzes with relentless energy, and Dracovish snaps its jaws at the air as if sensing something invisible. The other Pokemon pause, sensing the tension. Then, a sound. A deep, resonant call echoes across the ocean, rolling over the islands like a distant storm. The three dragon types freeze, their eyes locking onto the horizon where Pony Island looms in the distance. Their growls turn feral, their bodies tense as if pulled by some unseen force. Ash stands, and his Z-ring suddenly glows with an eerie light. That sounded like Tapu Koko, he mutters, his voice tight with concern. Then another cry rings out. This one, unmistakably, the guardian deities, and the glow from his Z-ring intensifies. "Something's wrong," Ash says. "We gotta get to Pony now." Go hesitates. "But what about..." However, before he can finish, Dragonite spreads its wings with a roar, and Naganadel's body hums with energy, and Dracovish barrels into the waves, all of them surging towards Pony Island without a command. Ash's expression hardens. "We don't have a choice. We're going." With a shared nod, they recall the remainder of their Pokemon and sprint down the beach, hearts pounding. Whatever is happening, it's big, and if Tapu Koko is involved, if Ash's Z-ring is reacting like this, then whatever awaits them on Pony Island is something that they cannot ignore. As Ash and Go rush to find Professor Kukui, we shift perspective over to Pony Island as Hapu trudges wearily into her modest home, dust still clinging to her boots from a long day's ride back from the Manalo conference. Her brow furrows as she surveys the unfinished chores, the unmucked hay bales, the unfed Mudsdale herd, the unattended berry patches, all neglected during her mandatory participation in Alola's grand tournament. With a sigh, she rolls up her sleeves. There's no use complaining now. Just one more day of obligations, and then she can finally return to the peaceful rhythm of her life as Pony's kahuna. But as she reaches for a pitchfork, a sound slices through the canyon's usual quiet, a shrill, otherworldly cry that sends a jolt down her spine. Tapu Fini? The island's guardian's voice is unmistakable, a piercing wail that echoes off the cliffs of Pony Canyon, urgent and unnatural. Hapu's hand freezes mid-motion. The Tapus never cry without reason. Without hesitation, she bolts outside, whistling sharply to her trusted Mudsdale, who stomps the earth with readiness. In one fluid motion, she swings onto its back, and together they surge forward, kicking up a cloud of red dust as they charge into the canyon's winding depths. The air hums with tension, the distant crash of waves against the cliffs mixing with the fading echoes of Tapu Fini's call. Whatever awaits Hapu in those ancient ravines, the kahuna knows one thing: the island is calling to her. As the gallops of Mudsdale bounce off the canyon walls, we shift perspective to a boat that cuts through the choppy waves as Ash, Go, and Kukui stand on the bow, their faces etched with concern. The journey to Pony Island feels heavier than usual, not just because of the storm clouds gathering on the horizon, but because of an unsettling behavior of Ash's Pokemon. Plus, there's also everything that had happened with Melmetal. Now Dracovish, Dragonite, and Naganadel are all acting strange. The air is thick with tension, and though Go and Kukui try to reassure him, Ash can't shake the gnawing feeling that something is very wrong. Our hero tightens his grip on the railing as he stares ahead, his instincts screaming that whatever awaits them on Pony Island isn't just another battle. It's something entirely new, something powerful enough to unsettle even his most resilient Pokemon. The wind howls around them, and Ash's pulse quickens. He's faced legendaries and battle gods, and stood against the toughest opponents the world has produced. But this feels different somehow. There's a weight in the air, a pressure that makes his skin prickle with anticipation. Whatever lies ahead, he knows one thing is for certain: the challenge waiting for them will test them in ways that he has never experienced before. As the three trainers prepare themselves for what lies ahead, the scene shifts over to the bustling high-tech halls of the Aether Paradise, where Meowth, Marini, and Mimikyu lurk in the shadows, their eyes fixed on a singular goal: the mysterious crystal Gary Yoke has been obsessively studying ever since the explosion incident involving Melmetal. The trio is determined to get their hands on it, but Gary's relentless focus has made it nearly impossible. Until now. Ever the cunning strategist, Meowth hatched a plan, disguising itself as an ordinary, harmless Pokemon to blend in with the lab's background. Day after day, it observes Gary's movement, noting every detail: the way he taps his fingers impatiently on the console, the exact times that he tries to eat, and, most importantly, the moments when the exhaustion finally causes his sharp mind to waver. Gary, fueled by urgency and caffeine, has been pushing himself to the limit, barely pausing to rest. His once sharp attention is slipping, and Meowth seizes the opportunity. During one of Gary's rare, blurry-eyed breaks, Meowth silently creeps over, its keen eye catching a glimpse of the Aether Foundation's mainframe passwords scrawled hastily on a nearby notepad. A triumphant grin spreads across Meowth's face. This is the breakthrough we've been waiting for. With the passwords in its possession, the path to the crystal is wide open. Now all that's left is patience. The perfect moment will come, and when it does, Meowth and his partners will strike, securing the crystal before Gary even realizes what happened. The game is on, and Team Rocket's mischievous trio is one step closer to finding their friends. It's here that we shift perspective back to Pony Island as the sun dips low over the landscape. Ash, Go, and Kukui finally arrive, their footsteps clicking up dust on the rugged, undeveloped terrain. The island, wild and untouched, offers little in the way of clues. No signs of civilization, no traces of the three dragons they've been pursuing. The only lead that they can think of is to seek out Hapu, the island's kahuna. If anyone would have noticed Dragonite, Dracovish, and Naganadel arriving, it would have been her. But when they reach her modest home, the place is eerily empty. Hapu is nowhere to have been found. Just as unease begins to settle in, another cry echoes throughout the air. But this time, it's not just one voice. Go's sharp ear picks up the difference immediately. That's definitely 4 cries, he points out. Kukui's eyes widen in recognition. Those sound like the Tapus, he murmurs, and they don't sound happy. We need to hurry. They could be in trouble. Without hesitation, the three rush towards the source of the commotion, their path leading them deeper into the widening expanse of vast Pony Canyon. Time slips away as they press forward, the golden hues of the sunset giving way to deepening shadows of the canyon. The trail they follow is marked by strange disturbances, tracks resembling Dracofish's heavy footsteps alongside an unfamiliar scuffs of earth. The further they venture, the more unfamiliar the terrain becomes. Ash glances around, his usual confidence tinged with uncertainty. I have never been in this part of the canyon before, he admits. Kukui nods grimly. I haven't either. Not since I was a kid anyway, he says, his voice low. This is where the trial of the Dragon Z used to be held. The totem Pokemon that guarded this place, it was said to be the strongest of all totems in Alola. Kukui's expression then darkens, but it vanished after Hapu's grandfather passed away, and no one has seen it since. The weight of his words hang in the air as they press on, the path narrowing until finally it opens up into a wide, secluded clearing. What they find stops them dead in their tracks. Hapu stands at the center of the chaos, her Mudsdale rearing back as it struggles to hold its own against Dragonite, Dracovish, and Naganadel. All three dragons thrashing about in a frenzied, almost unnatural state. Their eyes glow with an eerie energy, their movements erratic and aggressive. But what's even stranger is the presence of the 4 Tapus, Tapu Koko, Lele, Bulu, and Finny, perched along the canyon walls, watching silently from the distance. Before Ash and the others can react, a sudden pulse of light flares from their Z-rings. Not just theirs, but every Z-ring across Alola. echo, as if resonating with some unseen force. The dragons freeze mid-attack, their wild eyes locking onto Ash as a surge of energy erupts from his wrist. Then, with a deafening crackle of power, the Z-rings begin to activate as their energy is sucked into an ultra wormhole as it tears open in the sky above them. The three dragons suddenly begin to glow, their bodies radiating in a familiar golden aura, totem energy. Kukui's breast catches. This isn't normal, he mutters, stepping close to Ash and Go as they rush to Hapu's side. The young kahuna wipes sweat from her brow, her gaze flickering between the dragons and the swirling vortex above. I don't know what's happening, she admits, but this can't be good. Kukui nods, his jaw set. Whatever it is, the Tapus are involved. It's likely they want us to face these dragons in a totem battle, but before they can act, the four island guardians suddenly burst into motion, their small bodies dancing in a frantic, almost ritualistic pattern. With a synchronized cry, they unleash a surge of radiant energy straight into the ultra wormhole. For a heartbeat, there's only silence, then a scream, a blood-curdling, otherworldly shriek that rips through the canyon, sending chills down their spines. The very air trembles as something massive begins to emerge from the wormhole, a shadowy figure wraithed in crackling energy. Then, with a ground-shaking impact, the totem Komo-o lands before them, its towering form dwarfing every other Pokemon present. Its scales pulse with the combined power of ultra space and totem energy, its eyes burning with an ancient intensity. Hapu stumbles back, her voice barely a whisper. That's my grandfather's Komo-o, she breathes. It disappeared into the canyon the day he died. I thought it was gone forever. As the colossal dragon lets out a thunderous roar, the truth becomes clear. The Tapus didn't just summon them here for a battle. They called upon Komo-o, the legendary guardian of Pony Island, to test them. Not just Hapu as the new Kahuna, but Ash, Go, and Kukui as well. The trial begins now. The intense totem battle erupts in a flurry of movement and strategy as Komo-o, standing tall and commanding, exerts its dominance over Dragonite, Naganadel, and Dragovish, bending them to its will and using them as battle allies. While the three dragons surge forward, unleashing devastating attacks, Komo-o remains at the back, striking with calculated precision, its scaly body gleaming under the Alolan sun. Ash quickly realizes the gravity of the situation. He and Go won't be able to break through Komo-o's defense without first defeating the dragons under his control. With determination burning in his eyes, Ash calls upon Pikachu, its cheeks crackling with electricity, while Go calls upon Raboot, its flames flickering from its feet. Kukui is quick to join the fray with his powerful Incineroar, though it's still feeling the battle that it had with Rinto earlier in the day, while Hapu commands her steadfast Mudsdale, its hooves digging firmly into the earth. At first, the battle seems hopeless. The dragons attack relentlessly, their combined strength overwhelming everyone. The group struggles to gain any traction. Their Pokemon are pushed to their limits because Ash and Go don't want to cause any harm to these dragons as they are all friends. Kukui, ever observant, notices the island guardians, the Tapus, are watching intensely from the sidelines, their presence both mysterious and encouraging. Realizing their brute force alone won't win this fight, Kukui calls out, "We need to work together." With that, he pairs up with Ash, while Hapu pairs up with Go. Ash and Kukui focus their efforts on Dracovish, their combined attacks finally bringing it down. Meanwhile, Hapu and Go target Naganadel, their coordinated strikes overwhelming the poison dragon. Once the two dragons fall, the four trainers then turn their attention to Dragonite, and after a fierce exchange, which results in the dragon being overwhelmed with Z energy, forcing it to become more aggressive, it is too defeated. Now, only the mighty totem Komo-o remains, but due to the effort that they had to put in, all of their Pokemon are exhausted, and their energies are now spent. However, this is when Kukui and Hapu exchange a glance before nodding in unison. It's time for their Z moves. With synchronized movements, they unleash their most powerful attacks, the energy surging through the battlefield, but Komo-o withstands the blows, its resilience unmatched, before retaliating with devastating force, knocking out both Mudsdale and Incineroar in one fell swoop. Now, only Ash, Pikachu, Go, and Raboot stand against the towering totem Pokemon. The odds seem impossible, but for some reason, Go's unwavering determination sparks something within Raboot, as he says that they're not going to give up. They need to free their dragon Pokemon completely of this totem Pokemon's control. Raboot's body begins to ignite with a surge of power as it unlocks its Blaze ability, flames roaring to life around it. Seeing this, Ash grins. This could be their chance. In one swift motion, he tells Pikachu it's time as he activates his Z-Ring, the familiar surge of Alola's power coursing through him as he and Pikachu combine their movements and unleash a 10 million volt Thunderbolts. The sheer force of the attack lights up everything in the entire canyon. The spectacle is so immense that it draws the attention of everyone in Alola, including Rinto, who sits on the deck of the Pokemon Center back on Melee Island, pausing his team's preparation for his upcoming battle with Ash as he watches the distant explosion of light. Back in the battle, Raboot, fueled by its newfound power with Blaze, leaps into the air to deliver a devastating Blaze kick. The impact is enough to send Komo crashing to the ground as it takes Ash's Z move, resulting in its defeat. The Tapus, having witnessed the entire battle, finally make their move as they descend around Go before acting erratically and dancing. This leaves everybody stumped as they're unsure of what the Tapus intend. However, it's here that a crystal begins to glow as it descends in front of Go. It's the Dragium Z, leaving him both stunned and confused. Tapu Koko, however, locks eyes with Ash, its gaze intense, as if silently promising that their paths will cross again very soon. With their task completed, the Tapus vanish into the sky, and the Totem Komo finally rises, breaking its control on the other dragons, only to give Hapu one last look before disappearing into the depths of the canyon. Go, still processing everything, turns to Ash and asks, "What does this mean?" Our champion simply smiles warmly, placing a hand on his friend's shoulder. "This was Alola's way of accepting you," he explains. "Now, just like me, you can think of this place as your second home." Kukui, overcome with pride, pulls both boys in with a tight embrace. "You two are family," he says, his voice thick with emotion, and I think that's what the Tapus were trying to remind us of. If we work together, we can overcome anything. Both Ash and Go simply smile, realizing that Kukui is right. With the battle over and the dragons safely returned to their trainers, the group departs from Vast Pony Canyon, telling Hapu goodbye, before making their way back to Kukui's house. The night settles around them, but there's no time for rest. Tomorrow, Ash will defend his Alola Championship title, and he'll need every ounce of strength and support he can get. The island's trials have only strengthened their bond, and as the stars shimmer above, the promise of another thrilling battle looms on the horizon. The next morning, the sunrise breaks the Alola night bright and clear, but Ash is already buzzing with restless energy, having spent the entire night tossing and turning, his mind racing with strategies for his upcoming match against Rinto. Excitement pulses through him like an electric current, making sleep nearly impossible. By the time he had drifted off, it was well past midnight, and Go, who had been asleep right beside him, ends up just as sleep-deprived thanks to Ash's restlessness and mutters, as well as Pikachu's occasional jolts of anticipation. Before the first light fully stretches across the horizon, Ash is already wide awake, his determination burning too fiercely to stay in bed a moment longer. Careful not to disturb Go, who is still dead to the world, sprawled across the pillow with a muffled snore, Ash slips out of the room, Pikachu perched eagerly on his shoulder. The two leave the house in near silence, the only sound, the soft click of the door closing behind him. Meanwhile, Go sleeps on, completely unaware until the shrill ring of his rotophone jolts awake. He groggily looks at the phone as he fumbles the device, only to see Professor Burnett's name flashing on the screen. Panic surges through him for a second as he answers the phone, Professor voice asking, "Go, I'm just checking in. Are you on your way to the Aether Paradise soon?" Go's heart leaps into his throat. "What?" He bolts upright, nearly sending Rabbit tumbling off of the bed in the process. A quick glance at the clock confirms his worst fear. He's overslept. I'll be there as fast as I can," he stammers before hanging up. Already scrambling out from underneath the sheets, he's in a frantic rush. He nearly trips over his own shoes, grabbing his bag upside down, scattering Pokeballs everywhere. Go barely remembers to grab his pants before he sprints to the door. The race to the Aether Paradise is a blur of chaotic energy, and the boy's mind races even faster than his feet, as he mentally kicks himself for not setting an alarm. Gary better not have started without him, he thinks, dodging pedestrians and skidding around corners, his breath coming in short bursts. As Go tries desperately not to let Gary get ahead of him once again, we shift over to Manalo Stadium into the locker room, where it is quiet, almost serene, as Ash sits alone, lost in thought. The weight of the upcoming battle hangs in the air, but unlike usual, there's no nervous energy, no relentless pacing, just a calm focus. The door then swings in, breaking the silence as Professor Kukui, Mallow, Lana, and Sophocles step inside, their expressions a mix of concern and encouragement. They've come to make sure Ash is ready, knowing exactly what's at stake. If Rinto wins today, Ash will lose his hard-earned title as Alola's first-ever champion. Yet, to their surprise, Ash doesn't look anxious at all. In fact, he seems excited. Ash meets their eyes with a steady smile and assures them that he understands the importance of this battle, what it means to Alola, for his legacy, for everything he's ever fought for. But his mind isn't on the title, the pressure, or the fear of losing. Instead, it's on the thrill of finally facing Rinto, a trainer who has captivated him since he first saw him dominate the Hoenn League. Rinto isn't just strong, he's one of the most skilled opponents Ash has ever seen, and that alone ignites a fire in him. Win or lose, Ash craves a battle that pushes him to his absolute limits. If Rinto takes the title, then he's earned it, proving himself the better trainer. And Ash, he'll only go stronger from the challenge. His thoughts drift further to Leon, the undefeated champion of Galar, another towering figure he yearns to test himself against. Just imagining their future clash sends a jolt of energy through him, and Pikachu sparks with shared enthusiasm on his shoulder. Mallow, Lana, and Sophocles exchange uneasy glances. Ash's attitude isn't what they expected. Shouldn't he be more concerned about defending his title? But Kukui just smiles knowingly. He recognizes something rare in Ash's mindset, a lesson few trainers ever truly learn, the ability to embrace the battle itself, not just the outcome. The fear of losing, the pressure of expectations, those things can cloud the joy of the fight. The reason Ash fell in love with battling in the first place. Kukui steps forward and places a hand on Ash's head, ruffling his hair affectionately. "I'm proud of you," he says, his voice warm. "You've grown into a fine young champion. Win or lose, I know you'll represent Alola with everything you've got." Ash's eyes shimmer for a moment, emotion swelling in his chest. But before the tears can fully form, the call echoes through the stadium. It's time. With a quick swipe of his sleeve across his eyes, Ash grins at his friends. "Cheer for me out there, okay?" Before turning and sprinting towards the battlefield, Pikachu clinging tight. The others don't hesitate. Kukui ushers them out with a chuckle. "Come on," he says. "This is one battle we can't afford to miss." The energy in the stadium is electric as Ash emerges, the crowd roaring. Win or lose, this will be a fight Alola never forgets. With the excitement of every citizen of Alola building the energy within the stadium as Ash emerges, Rinto finally makes his presence known as the one challenger to face Ash in the first ever title defense of the Alola Championship. However, much to Rinto's surprise, the crowd seems to be cheering for not only Ash, but him as well, as if they're proud to have Rinto as their challenger. This causes the verdant-haired boy to look around puzzled. However, Ash is quick to break this puzzlement, as he states that Alola is always welcoming. No matter what your position here, we want you to feel at home. That's how they made me feel when I first came. So, that's how I want you to feel as well, Rinto. Don't think of this as you challenging for a title and taking something away. Think of this as you being welcome to our family. Rinto simply smiles as he steps forward, thanking Ash for the kind encouragement, but don't think that's going to make him hold back in this battle. He's here for one thing and one thing only, to capture the championship of Alola and have an intense battle with its current reigning champion. Ash simply smiles. "I wouldn't have it any other way," he states as he steps forward, with the referee explaining that this is going to be a 6-on-6. There will be substitutions allowed, and this will be for the championship of the Alola region. There will be no time limit, and the battle will be over when one side is out of Pokemon to use. And with that, the referee gives the wave to begin, as Rinto wastes no time pulling a Pokeball from his belt to send in the choice that caused Kukui so much trouble the day before, his Snorlax, or so it seems. The massive sleepy Pokemon lumbers forward from its ball, its heavy footsteps shaking the ground. Ash, eyes sharp, makes a quick decision. "Naganadel, I choose you," he calls. The Ultra Beast emerges with an otherworldly cry, its sleek, draconic form poised for battle. Ash makes the first command. "Thunderbolt," he cries. Naganadel's tail crackles with electricity before unleashing a jagged bolt of lightning. But Snorlax becomes strangely agile, rolling to the side with surprising speed, the attack scorching the earth where it once stood. Ash blinks in surprise. Since when does Snorlax dodge like that? Rinto smirks. "Bounce," he commands. Snorlax suddenly leaps skyward, defying its usual sluggishness. Naganadel watches warily as the illusionary behemoth vanishes into the air, before crashing down with a thundering force. The impact sends Naganadel skidding back, but the Ultra Beast shakes it off. "Counter with Dragon Balls," Ash yells. Naganadel rears back and fires a swirling beam of draconic energy. Yet again, Snorlax twists out of the way, the attack barely grazing its side, but for a split second, a strange shimmer ripples across its body, like a mirage distorting in heat. Ash's eyes narrow. Something's not right. Rinto doesn't seem to give him time to think. "Night Slash," he commands. Snorlax's claws glow with the dark energy as it slashes forward. Naganadel hisses at the attack as it lands. Ash grits his teeth. Why isn't it using the same moves as before? And how is it so fast? Suspicion begins to gnaw at him, but he presses on. "Poison Jab, go for a direct hit." Naganadel's stinger drips with venom as it lunges forward, aiming straight for Snorlax's belly. This time, the attack connects, but the moment it does, another shimmer flickers across his Snorlax's form. Rinto chuckles. "Burning jealousy." Suddenly, flames of resentment erupt from around Naganadel, searing its wings. The attack doesn't burn, thanks to Naganadel's poison typing resisting fire, but the damage is done. Ash's mind begins to race. This isn't adding up. They need one last shot. It's time. Naganadel, use X-Scissor. The dragon's claws glow as it crosses them, before slashing towards Snorlax. The attack nearly lands, but the lumbering behemoth sidesteps at the last second, the shimmering distortion of its outline appearing once more. Ash's suspicion has been piqued. This isn't a Snorlax. But if it's not, then what is it? He doesn't have an answer yet, but he knows he needs a different approach. Naganadel, return, he calls, recalling the Ultra Beast. His hand then hovers across his next choice. "Dartrix, you're up!" The grass and flying type emerges with a confident slap of its wings, unaware of the illusion before it. Rinto's smirk deepens, his Pokemon's disguise still holding strong. This battle is only beginning. However, Rinto decides to leave his Snorlax in for the time being, as it lumbers forward once again. Across from it, Dartrix tilts its head, eyes gleaming with mischief. Its trainer smirks, sensing something is off. "Dartrix, let's see what this Snorlax is really made of. Use Feather Dance." Dartrix spreads its wings, releasing a flurry of shimmering feathers that swirl around the illusionary Snorlax. The move has little effect. Snorlax's normal typing would normally ignore it, but the feathers seem to stick unnaturally, as if the target isn't what it seems. Rinto's lips curl. now, Night Slash. In a flash, the Snorlax's form shudders, its body melting into shadows, as Zoroark's true form is revealed mid-strike. The dark energy coalesces into a wicked blade, slashing towards Dartrix. The grass flying type staggers back, wincing. Ash laughs. I knew it. Dartrix, don't let him. Brave bird. With a defiant cry, the grass type rockets forward, its body engulfed in a blazing aura. The impact sends Zoroark skidding back, but the recoil rattles Dartrix as well, its wings trembling from the strain. Rinto doesn't hesitate. Burning jealousy. Zoroark's eyes flash with malice as waves of searing envy erupt from its body. The flames lick at Dartrix, super effective against its grass typing. The owl Pokemon screeches, feathers singed, but Ash grins through the pain. Oh, you're sneaky, but we've got tricks too. Shadow Claw! Dartrix's talons glow with a ghostly aura as it swipes at Zoroark. The attack lands, but the dark typing halves the damage, though it is left snarling from what appears to be a critical hit. Rinto's voice is sharp. Bounce! Now! Zoroark leaps skyward, vanishing in a heartbeat before crashing down atop Dartrix. The flying type move strikes hard, but Dartrix shakes it off, its eyes glinting. Seed Bomb! Point blank, Ash commands. Before Zoroark can react, Dartrix rams its head, detonating a burst of explosive seeds between them. The blast sends both Pokemon flying, smoke billowing from the crater left behind. As the dust clears, Zoroark struggles to rise, its illusion long shattered. Dartrix, equally battered, forces itself upright, but only for a second. Both Pokemon collapse simultaneously, their strength spent. The crowd erupts as the referee calls for a double knockout. Rinto recalls Zoroark with a sigh. Well fought, Ash. That Dartrix of yours is a clever one. However, Ash simply smirks, returning to his partner. And your Zoroark, it's a real piece of work. I wasn't sure how I was going to take it down with its illusion ability up. Both trainers share a nod as they prepare to engage in their next battle. While Ash and Rinto decide on their next choices, we move over to the cutting-edge Aether Paradise. Gary and Professor Burnett stand before the glowing interface of the high-security system, ready to unlock its vast database. The air hums with anticipation as Burnett inputs the final authorization codes, granting Gary access to the critical database he needs for Project Mew, specifically every scrap of information the Foundation has gathered on the mysterious and dangerous Ultra Beasts. But as the system boots up, Burnett's finger pauses on the keyboard, her eyes sharp and narrowing at the chaotic stream of data flooding the screen. Something is wrong. The files are scrambled, the encryption protocols frayed, and the entire sections of research are jumbled beyond recognition. Her stomach sinks as the realization sets in. Someone has hacked their system, rifling through their most classified research and leaving digital wreckage in their wake. The intrusion hasn't just slowed them down, it's thrown their entire operation into disarray. Just as the tension tightens in the room, Go bursts in, slightly out of breath and apologizing for his tardiness. Gary, never one to miss an opportunity, smirks and tosses a teasing jab about Go's poor timing, earning him a sharp glare. Before the rivalry can escalate, Burnett steps in, her voice calm but firm. Enough, she says, redirecting their energy. We don't have time for this. If we want to salvage the Ultra Beast data, we need to act fast, and we need both of you. She swiftly assigns them adjacent workstations, explaining the urgent task ahead. Every file must be reviewed, organized and categorized by threat level, beta, alpha, or omega, before the system can safely download the data. Any misstep could corrupt the entire database, erasing years of research in an instant. Eager to prove themselves, Gary and Go dive into their task, their competitive spirits flaring as they race to sort through the assigned databases. The screens flicker with fragmented reports, distorted images of bizarre creatures, and scrambled notes, each piece a puzzle demanding their full attention. Gary works with calculated precision, his experience evident in his quick organizational skills, while Go leans into his sharp instincts, cross-referencing fragmented entries with his own encounters. The room fills with the rapid clatter of keys and the occasional muttered observation, the weight of their mission pressing down on them. Time is slipping away, and with every passing second, the risk of permanent data loss grows. The race isn't just against each other now, it's against the unseen saboteur who brought them to this brink. While Burnett, Go, and Gary unscramble the mayhem that is currently in the databases of the Aether Foundation, we move back to Manala Stadium as the air crackles with anticipation, with Ash and Rinto locking eyes across the battlefield from each other. Both trainers have chosen their next Pokemon, and Ash wastes no time declaring, Dracovish, I choose you! The ancient fossil Pokemon materializes with a guttural roar, its jagged teeth gnashing in excitement. Rinto responds in kind, releasing his lantern with a flick of his wrist. The anglerfish bobs gently into the air before landing on the stadium battlefield, its glowing lure casting an eerie light. This should be interesting, Rinto muses, adjusting his tie. Lantern, start with Thunder Wave. The water type's antenna pulses with electricity, sending a shimmering wave of paralysis energy toward Dracovish. But before it can connect, something strange happens. Dracovish's eyes lock onto Lantern's glowing lure, its pupils dilating wildly. A primal snarl rips from its throat as its body tenses, muscles coiling like a spring. The Thunder Wave fizzles harmlessly past as Dracovish suddenly moves, a blur of raw speed and fury. Ash's eyes widen. Whoa. Dracovish. Rinto barely has time to react before Dracovish is upon Lantern, its maw gaping wide with an otherworldly dragonic aura. Vicious Rend. The attack isn't a command, it's an instinct. A brutal, prehistoric strike fueled by pure predatory rage. This water-type move crashes into Lantern with a devastating force, the impact sending shockwaves through the stadium. Lantern cries out as it is hurled backwards, skidding across the battlefield before collapsing as it's slammed into the wall in a sparking heap. The referee swings its arms down. Lantern is unable to battle. Dracovish wins. The crowd remains silent as Ash stands frozen, staring at his still heaving Pokemon. Dracovish's chest rises and falls rapidly, its wild eyes slowly regaining focus as the draconic energy around it fades. Rinto recalls Lantern with a stunned expression. That wasn't a normal attack, he mutters. Ash swallows hard, stepping forward. I don't know what that was, he admits, his voice low. Dracovish lets out a tired chuff, shaking its head as if snapping out of a trance. The battle ended in an instant, far sooner than anyone expected. Rinto exhales sharply, a smirk tugging at his lips despite the loss. Well, that's one way to end a battle. Ash nods slowly, still processing what just happened. Yeah, but I think we've got some things to figure out. He reaches out, placing a reassuring hand on Dracovish's rough hide. The Pokemon rumbles in response, its usual dopey expression returning. But Ash can't shake the feeling that something far deeper just awakened. However, that's going to be something that they're going to have to explore at another time, as Ash pulls out the Pokeball of Dracovish and recalls his fossil for the time being. Walking back to his side of the field, Ash apologizes to Rinto as he turns, telling him that he's sorry that the battle ended so cruelly. However, Rinto seems unfazed, understanding that Dracovish is a Pokemon that's not of the modern world, so something like that may be bound to happen. However, as he pulls his Pokeball from his belt, he tells Ash not to expect an easy win like that again. Simultaneously, Ash does the same, stating that he plans to make sure that Rinto can never capture his title. The two trainers both smile as they send in their both Pokemon at the same time. Cracking from the ball shows exactly what type of this battle is going to be. It's going to be a test of strength and a clash of pride between two powerful fire types. Ash's Incineroar stands tall, muscles tensed, its fiery belt flickering with anticipation, while across from it, Rinto's Magnetar looms, its massive arm cannons glowing with barely contained heat. Let's show them what we're made of, Incineroar, Ash shouts, throwing his first command. Fire Blast! Incineroar roars, launching a massive, 5-pointed inferno straight for Magmortar. The flames crash into the blast Pokemon, but its own fire type lessens the damage. However, the attack does leave scorch marks around it. However, Magnetar shakes it off with a smirk. Rinto retaliates immediately. You won't outfire us. Thunder Punch! Magnetar's fists crackle with electricity as it lunges forward. The heel Pokemon growls in pain as the electric move hits hard, and its muscles twitch from a potential paralysis threat, but it refuses to back down. Ash grits his teeth. Shake it off and use Darkest Lariat, he commands. Incineroar begins to spin violently, its arms wraithed in dark energy. The brutal whirlwind smashes into Magnetar, the dark-type move landing solidly. The fire-type stumbles, but Rinto isn't done. Now, Rock Slide! Boulders materialize above the two of them and crashes down on Incineroar. The hero Pokemon snarls once again as the rocks pummel it, but its sheer determination keep it standing. Seeing an opening, Ash seizes the moment. Acrobatics, now! Incineroar leaps with startling agility, flipping through the air before slamming feet first into Magnetar's face. The attack lands cleanly, and the fire-type staggers, its breathing heavy. Rinto clenches his fists. One last push, Magnetar. Cross Chop! The cannon Pokemon's arms glow with fighting energy as it delivers this devastating cross chop to Incineroar's shoulder, forcing the Alolan fire starter to hiss. The fighting type move hurts, but it's not as much as it could have been. Ash grins. Now, revenge! Incineroar's body surges with dark energy as it retaliates with double the force that it just taken, slamming a crushing blow into Magnetar's gut. The blast Pokemon wheezes, eyes widening. The delayed power of revenge, combined with its own weakened state, is too much. With a final groan, the fire type collapses, unconscious. The battlefield falls silent as Incineroar stands victorious, its chest heaving but its spirit unbroken. Ash pumps his fists. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Rinto recalls his fire type with a sigh, but there's respect in his eyes. Guess your fire burned a little bit hotter today. Good battle. As Magnetar disappears in a ray of light, Incineroar lets out a triumphant roar, its pride undeniable. Both Pokemon gave everything, but in the end, Ash's partner proved to be stronger. As Incineroar celebrates its dominance as a fire type, we move over to the Aether Paradise, to where we find Meowth, Mareanie, and Mimikyu stealthily slipping into Faba's lab. Their movements quick and purposeful. The scientist had just stepped out, leaving the lad unguarded. Perfect timing for their daring heist. Their target? The powerful red crystal needed to power the Ultra Wormhole generator, locked away behind multiple layers of high-tech security. But thanks to Meowth's earlier hacking efforts, having swiped Gary's passwords, the trio faces little resistance as the clever feline taps away at the console, bypassing firewalls and disabling alarms with practiced ease. One by one, the security measures fall, and before they know it, the final shield deactivates, unleashing a crimson glow of the crystal as its eerie radiation floods the room. Almost immediately, Mareanie's mysterious box, the same one that had caused trouble level before reacts to the energy, soaking up the radiation and glowing with the same ominous light as it had in the past. Meowth whirls around, hissing at Marini for recklessly bringing that box along yet again, but as the seconds pass, he realizes something critical. The box isn't just absorbing the energy, it's shielding them from the crystal's harmful effects. Reluctantly, Meowth concedes that for once, Marini's strange attachments to the box has actually saved them. Without wasting another moment, the Scratch Cat grabs the crystal, its pulsating glow casting long shadows across the lab as the trio hurries towards the wormhole generator's chamber. But as they slip out of the room, none of them notice a critical detail. Not all the radiation was absorbed by the box. In the adjacent room, lying motionless on the recovery bed, the massive metal, still weakened from its earlier exposure to the red crystal, begins to stir. A faint red aura flickers around its metallic body, growing brighter and more intense. The energy pulsates through its form, its eyes snapping open as an unnatural power surges within. Something has awakened, and it won't stay dormant for much longer. As trouble at the Aether Paradise begins to stir, we move back to Manawa Stadium, as Ash and Rinto are both standing across from each other, determined to seize the upper hand. It's here Rinto calls on the Pokemon that everyone had already known he had brought to this battle, his Snorlax, as it emerges from its Pokeball with its massive body casting a shadow over the field. While Ash, on the other hand, decides to go with his primal Dracovish once again as it emerges from its ball, its jagged teeth gnawing in anticipation once more. Alright Dracovish, let's start strong. Let's use your new move, Vicious Rend, Ash commands. With the burst of speed, Dracovish rockets forward, its maw glowing with a savage energy as it clamps down on Snorlax's belly. The attack lands with a crushing impact, amplified by Dracovish's raw power, but Snorlax barely stumbles, its thick layers of fat absorbing much of the blow. Rinto smirks. You'll need more than that. Snorlax, use Body Slam. Before Dracovish can retreat, Snorlax heaves its full weight forward, crashing down like a tidal wave. The sheer force crushes Dracovish under the weight of Snorlax, its legs trembling from the impact. Ash grits his teeth. Normal moves might not have much an advantage, but Snorlax's sheer mass makes every hit devastating. Shake it off, he commands. Use Ice Fang. From underneath the girth of Snorlax, Dracovish begins to stir as its mouth becomes crystallized in cold daggers before chomping away at the belly that is currently on top of it. This forces Snorlax to break contact as it pulls off of the dragon type, only for a bite to sink into Snorlax's arms, ice crystals spreading rapidly. Snorlax roars as the effect of the bites is deep, and its movements are becoming sluggish due to the chilling effect. However, Rinto doesn't flinch. Zen Headbutt, he commands. Snorlax's skull glows in psychic energy before it slams down on Dracovish, which is currently lashed onto its arm. The dragon type reels as the attack lands with surprising precision, but it quickly regains its footing, shaking off the disorientation. Ash sees an opening. Now, Rock Blast! Dracovish rears back its head and fires a barrage of sharp stones from its mouth. The rocks pelt Snorlax's torso, each one striking with a sharp crack, but the normal type's endurance keeps it standing, even as it winces from the repeated hits. Rinto exhales, his strategy clear. Rest, Snorlax! Instantly, the half-ton terror plops onto the ground. It closes its eyes as a soft glow envelops it. Within seconds, its wounds vanish and its breathing steadies, fully restored. Ash's fists clench. This was exactly what Rinto wanted. A war of attrition. Not happening. Dracovish, use Dragon Rush. The fossil's body ignites in dragonic energy as it charges like a missile, slamming into Snorlax before it can fully awaken. The impact sends shockwave through the battlefield, but Snorlax groans, still standing as its bulk is too much to topple that easily. Now becoming conscious as it wakes up from the slam, Rinto smirks. Use Hammer Arm. Finish it. Snorlax's fist glows with a brutal force before it swings downward in a devastating arc. Dracovish tries to dodge, but the attack clips its side, sending it tumbling. The fossil struggles to rise, its breath ragged. The prolonged battle has taken its toll. Ash curses under his breath. Rinto's plan is working. Dracovish is exhausted, while Snorlax, thanks to rest, is still in fighting shape. Ash knows they have one more move in them, so he calls for another Vicious Rend, to which Dracovish musters all the remaining strength it has to lunge forward at Snorlax. However, just as their first encounter, Rinto counters with a Body Slam, to which the lumbering behemoth throws all of its weight on top of the fossil, crushing it for one final time and bringing this battle to an end. As Snorlax peels itself off of Ash's dragon type, it's immediately apparent that Dracovish is unable to battle, as declared by the referee. Ash recalls his fossil, a bit silent for the moment, while Rinto stares on, considering what Ash's next move is going to be. For the first time, neither trainer says anything to each other. This was the upper hand that both trainers were looking for, and just like in the battle with Kukui, Snorlax proved to be the difference maker. Ash recalls his Galarian fossil, as he runs his finger across the balls on his belt, trying to decide on his next choice. The tension between the two trainers is palpable, as Rinto decides to keep his massive Snorlax in play, its heavy breathing echoing across the arena. Ash, undeterred, decides that he's going to try the method that Kukui had used before, as he pulls a ball from his belt. Incineroar, the fire wrestler Pokemon landing with a defiant roar. The two titans lock eyes, the air thick with anticipation. With his voice steady, Rinto takes the first command. Snorlax, start with the Body Slam. The normal type heaves its colossal body forward, launching itself at Incineroar with crushing force. Ash grits his teeth. Dodge and hit back with Darkest Lariat, he commands. Incineroar narrowly rolls aside, avoiding the full impact, but Snorlax's sheer bulk still grazes it, sending it skidding back. Recovering quickly, Incineroar's Incineroar's arms ignite with dark energy as it spins violently, striking Snorlax with a whirlwind of blows. The Dark-type move lands solidly, but Snorlax's girth slightly dampens the damage, allowing it to endure the assault. Rinto smirks. Now, use Body Slam once more. As the Normal-type lunges forward, Ash counters with an Acrobatics. Incineroar leaps gracefully, flipping over Snorlax's attack before driving both feet into the back of its head. The Flying-type move lands cleanly, but Snorlax barely stumbles, its immense weight keeping it grounded. Ash knows they need to push harder. Hit it with Revenge! Incineroar braces itself, absorbing Snorlax's next attack, another Body Slam, before retaliating with a devastating counterblow. The Fighting-type move lands with a heavy thud, causing super effective damage against Snorlax's normal typing. However, it is still standing, and Rinto doesn't let up. Rest, Snorlax! The giant Pokemon once again plops down, instantly falling asleep as a soft glow envelops it, restoring all of its health. Ash begins to mutter under his breath. The momentum is slipping away. Incineroar pants heavily, its body battered, but its spirit still unbroken. Neither one of them want to give in. And in this moment, a flicker of flames dances across Incineroar's fur. Its Blaze ability activates, amplifying the Fire type's moves and all of their strength. Ash's eyes gleam with determination. This is our shot! Use Fire Blast, full power! Incineroar rears back, summoning a raging inferno that it spouts from its championship belt. A star-shaped blast of fire hurtling in the direction of Snorlax. The superheated flames crash down on the normal type, the blaze-boosted attack scorching even the thick fat's resistance. Snorlax roars in pains as the flame sears its body, forcing it to wake up, but it stubbornly remains standing, its health critically low due to the effects of the attack, but not depleted. Rinto seizes this opportunity. Finish it! Hammer Arm! Still groggy from the rest, Snorlax swings its massive, glowing fist downward. Incineroar, exhausted from the battle, can't dodge in time, and the crushing blow connects with a resounding impact, sending the Fire type crashing into the ground. The flames around it flicker as its eyes close. It's down, and the referee calls the battle in favor of Snorlax. Ash returns his fallen warrior with a sigh of respect. He fought hard, he murmurs, before glaring at Rinto, who merely nods in acknowledgement. The battle may be over, but the fire in Ash's heart is still burning, and like Incineroar's blaze, he plans to use it to take victory. With Ash now down 3 Pokemon, a brief intermission is going to happen, allowing both sides to regain their composure and plan the second half of the battle. And as this is happening, the scene shifts back to the bustling labs of the Aether Paradise, where Burnett, Gary, and Go are deeply engrossed in their work. The air hums with the quiet whir of computers as the trio meticulously sort through the vast archives of data on the mysterious Ultra Beast. After what seems to be forever of relentless effort, they finally are nearing completion. Just a few more files to organize before their tasks are done. As Gary and Go input the last of the data, Burnett's fingers fly across the keyboard, her sharp eyes narrowing as she investigates the strange system lockups that have been plaguing Aether Paradise's networks. Someone has been accessing their files without authorization, and she's determined to uncover who's behind it. Just as Gary leans back, stretching his arms with a satisfactory grin, Burnett's screen flashes with a starting revelation. Her breath catches in her throat as the system traces the unauthorized access logs, and the username displayed is Gary's. Without hesitation, she calls over the two, her voice tight with urgency. Gary's confident smirk falters as he stares at the screen, immediately denying any involvement. Go, meanwhile, can't help but to feel a flicker of smug satisfaction as the thought of the usually unshakable Gary being caught in wrongdoing. But this brief moment of triumph is short-lived. Burnett, ever the meticulous investigator, points out the glaring inconsistencies in the log. The timestamps don't add up. Most of the unauthorized entries occur in the dead of night, long after Gary would have been asleep. Some even coincided with times when Gary wasn't even at the Aether Paradise, having been with Burnett and Professor Kukui elsewhere. Go's shoulders slump slightly, his fleeting hope of seeing Gary humbled dashed in an instant. Meanwhile, Burnett's curiosity only deepens. If Gary isn't the one behind this, then who is? And how did they manage to frame him so convincingly? With renewed determination, she dives back into the data, ready to unravel the mystery lurking beneath the surface. As Burnett follows the burning hot trail of the perpetrator who's been accessing the Aether Paradise's systems, we shift back to Manala Stadium as the intermission is now over, and Ash is standing across from Rinto on the battlefield. The two trainers have had an intense exchange up until this point, and Ash, as the champion of Alola, is down when it comes to the count of Pokemon. However, that doesn't mean he is out. He fully intends to win this battle. However, on the opposite side, Rinto remains steadfast in embracing the strategy that he has used for so long, as he calls on his Snorlax once again. It stands imposingly, its massive frame still recovering from the earlier fire blast that left it scorched with a burn. Ash's mind races. He needs a Pokemon that can outmaneuver Snorlax's raw power. With a confident grin, he pulls a Pokeball from his belt and hurls it into the air. Naganadel, let's go! The Ultra Beast materializes with a sharp cry, its sleek dragonic form hovering menacingly. Rinto wastes no time. Snorlax, use rest, he commands. The drowsy giant collapses onto the battlefield as its body begins to glow as it tries to fall into sleep. However, Ash knows that he can't let Snorlax fall asleep or else the burn will be healed, so he immediately tells Naganadel to go on the attack with the Thunderbolt. The dragon-type's tail crackles with electricity before it jams it straight into the gut of Snorlax as it begins to doze off. The attack energizes Snorlax, forcing it to wake up immediately, causing its healing to be stopped and the burn to remain in play. Rinto grits his teeth. We can't let up. Snorlax, use Zen Headbutt. The normal type's eyes snap open as its mind sharpens as it focuses psychic energy into its massive head. With a surprising speed, it lunges forward, slamming into the glowing skull of Naganadel. The poison type hisses in pain as the psychic type move strikes for super effective damage, but Ash isn't phased. Now counter with X-Scissor. Naganadel's arms begin to glow as it crosses them, striking Snorlax's belly. The bug type move lands solidly, but Snorlax's sheer bulk minimizes the damage once again. Rinto presses on the assault. Hammer arm now! Snorlax raises its massive fist, energy swirling around it as it swings it downward with a crushing force. Naganadel darts back, but it clips the end of its wings, sending it spinning. The fighting type move isn't very effective against Naganadel's poison typing, but the sheer power of it still rattles the dragon. Ash narrows his eyes. Dragon Pulse, full power, he commands. The dragon type rears back, gathering draconic energy before firing a devastating beam. The attack slams into Snorlax, the dragon type blending neutrally, but the burn continues to sap Snorlax's strength. Rinto knows he's on a borrowed time. One more body slam. Finish this, he commands. Snorlax heaves itself forward, aiming to crush Naganadel under its weight, just as it had Dracovish before it. Ash smirks. Dodge it and hit it with the poison jab. Naganadel zips around to the side, narrowly avoiding the crushing impact before driving its stinger into Snorlax's side. The poisonous attack seeps in, but Snorlax's normal type resists the damage. Still, the burn keeps ticking away. Snorlax staggers, its energy fading. With the final shudder, Snorlax is collapsed, unable to continue. The crowd erupts as Rinto recalls his fallen Pokemon, shaking his head in admiration, while Ash lets out a sigh of relief as all he can think to himself is finally, before telling Naganadel that it was great work. The Ultra Beast thrills in triumph as the battle concludes. Ash's strategy and Naganadel's relentless assault securing his victory and his title as the Alolan champion, for now at least. As Rinto recalls Snorlax, he begins to contemplate who he's going to use next, as it appears that Ash is going to leave in Naganadel for the time being. The Dragon-type Ultra Beast still hovering menacingly in the air over the battlefield next to Ash. However, Rinto simply smirks, as he feels like he has the perfect Pokemon for this. Pulling a Pokeball from his belt, Rinto calls on his next Pokemon, Sandslash! As the ball cracks, it reveals icy spines like glitter under the Alolan sun. It's here that Ash realizes that the Sandslash he just sent in is the Alola variant, which means it shares the typing of ice and steel. This is definitely going to be a challenge, he thinks to himself. The frost-covered steel type scrapes its claws against the battlefield, ready to strike. Let's start strong, Naganadel. Thunderbolt, Ash yells. The dragon type's body surges with electricity before firing a jagged bolt of lightning at Sandslash. The attack lands with a sizzling crack, but Sandslash's steel typing lessens the damage, leaving it snarling but still standing. Rinto doesn't hesitate. Hit it with Icicle Spear. Sandslash rears back before launching a flurry of razor-sharp icicles at Naganadel. The Ultra Beast twists in the air, but the projectiles strike true, each landing a stinging hit. Naganadel's dragon typing makes it vulnerable to the ice attacks, and it hisses in pain as the barrage forces it to lower. Ash, gritting his teeth, tells Naganadel to shake it off and to use an X-Scissor. The dragon type darts forward as it crosses its arm before striking towards Sandslash. The strike lands true, but Sandslash's steel typing resists the bug type attack, reducing its effectiveness. Still, the impact sends a message. Rinto smirks. Not enough. Ironhead, finish it. Sandslash's metallic skull gleams as it charges headfirst into Naganadel with a crushing force. The impact sends the dragon type spiraling, its wings fluttering weakly as it struggles to stay aloft. Ash clenches his fists. We're not done yet. Another X-Scissor, Naganadel. The dragon type gathers its strength and slashes at Sandslash once again. The bug type move lands cleanly, but once again, Sandslash's steel typing comes into play, softening the blow. Rinto's eyes gleam. Now, drill run. End this. Sandslash's claws begin to spin like a roaring drill as it rockets forward, slamming into Naganadel with a devastating force. The Ultra Beast lets out a pained cry as the super effective ground type attack overwhelms it. Its body goes limp before crashing to the ground, knocked out cold. Ash can't believe it. He didn't think Naganadel would go down that easy. However, as the referee calls the battle in favor of Rinto and Sandslash, he recalls it with a sigh, shaking his head. That was a good try, Ash, Rinto nods, his Sandslash standing triumphant. Type advantage does matter sometimes. Better luck next time. Ash simply looks at Rinto and Sandslash as he contemplates his next decision in this full 6-on-6 battle for his title as Alola champion. However, for Ash, this choice is obvious, as Rinto has decided to leave in Sandslash, so he turns to his starter. You ready, buddy? I think it's time for you to get back in there. Pikachu lets out a cry of its name before it jumps in, sparking with enthusiasm. Feeling confident in his matchup, Rinto wastes no time. Sandslash, use Drill Run. Bury it. The ice type tucks it into its spinning ball as its claws elongate and it spirals like a drill and rocketing towards Pikachu. Ash reacts intently. Dodge with Quick Attack. Pikachu blurs in motion, a golden streak zipping to the side just as Sandslash plows into the ground where it had stood, kicking up dirt. Without missing a beat, Ash follows up. Now, Iron Tail. Pikachu's tail gleams in silver as it swings hard, but Sandslash is already recovering. Ironhead, Rinto commands. The two steel-coated attacks collide with a deafening clang, sending shockwaves through the air. The force of the impact sends both Pokemon skidding back, but Pikachu recovers faster, shaking off the recoil. Rinto presses the advantage. Don't let up. Icicle Spear. Sandslash rears back, launching a barrage of razor-sharp icicles. Pikachu weaves frantically, but one grazes its side, making it wince. Ice moves aren't super effective, but they can still sting. Ash, gritting his teeth, tells it to shake it off. Pikachu, use Electroweb. The mouse gathers all of the energy that it can into its tail before shooting a web of electricity in the direction of Sandslash. However, Rinto simply smirks as he has the perfect counter for this. It's not enough. Use Aerial Ace. Sandslash darts forward at a blinding arc before cutting through the web and slashing with claws. Pikachu barely rolls out of the way, but the move's uncanny accuracy nicks its tail. Ash narrows his eyes. Time for the finisher. Pikachu Iron Tail again. Aim for its head. The mouse leaps, its tail glowing. Rinto counters instantly. Meet it with an Iron Head. Another brutal clash erupts, but this time Pikachu grins as Ash calls for a final move. Thunderbolt, full power, through your tail. The moment their attacks connect, Pikachu unleashes a devastating bolt of electricity, channeling it straight through this metal-on-metal contact. The Thunderbolt surges into Sandslash, amplified by the steel typings. The Alolan Pokemon convulses, sparks erupting from its body before it collapses, smoke arising from its fur. The referee's arm swings down. Sandslash is unable to battle. Pikachu wins. Ash pumps his fist. Yeah, that's how we do it, Pikachu. Pikachu leaps into his arms, cheering, as Rinto recalls Sandslash with a sigh, with a nod of respect. Not bad, Ash, but this isn't over yet. However, Ash grins, as the momentum has shifted back in his favor, though he knows that Rinto's most powerful Pokemon is still yet to be called upon. With the crowd falling silent, Ash tells Pikachu to come on back, as he knows that Rinto's final Pokemon is about to emerge. And almost like clockwork, as Pikachu scampers back to its trainer's side, Rinto sends out his final Pokemon, as Gallade merges with a confident stance, ready to battle anything. Knowing that he's going to need a true powerhouse to battle Gallade, Ash pulls his final Pokeball from his belt. Without hesitation, he declares, Lucario, I choose you! The Aura Pokemon materializes in a flash of blue light, its keen eyes locking onto Gallade, as the two warriors size each other up. As the referee shouts to begin, Lucario looks back at Ash, then to Gallade, the trainer and Pokemon's aura synchronizing. For the first time since it's evolved from a Riolu, Lucario feels something come over it. Excitement for a battle. Like, this fighting-type Pokemon will be exactly what it needs to test its true strength. Ash takes the first move with Lucario lunging forward, its paws glowing silver as it swings with a meteor mash in a crushing arc. However, Rinto commands Gallade to cross its bladed arms, bracing itself for the impact, but the sheer force still sends it skidding back. Not to waste a second, Gallade retaliates with a leaf blade at the command of its trainer, its arms glowing emerald as it slashes downward. Lucario twists away, but the attack grazes its side, drawing a brief wince. However, grass is still weak against steel, so even though the strike was clean, it barely caused any damage. Ash smiles. Don't let up, Aura Sphere! Lucario leaps back, gathering swirling blue energy between its palms before launching a sphere straight at Gallade. Rinto smirks. Protect. A shimmering barrier materializes just in time, deflecting the attack harmlessly into the air. The moment the shield drops, Gallade surges forward, its body blazing in fighting spirit as it unleashes a close combat. The rapid barrage of punches and kicks slams into Lucario, each hit landing with brutal precision. Fighting against fighting means no advantage, but the sheer force staggers Lucario back as its steel typing makes this a super effective hit. Gritting his teeth, Ash calls out, Work up! Focus your energy! The fighting type steadies itself, its aura flaring as its attack and special attack rises. Rinto, however, isn't phased. Finish this! Night Slash! Glade's arms glow dark as a purple energy streaks forward, aiming to viciously end this. Lucario barely dodges the attack, slicing through the air where it once stood moments before. Realizing that their opponents aren't going to make this easy, Rinto decides that the warm-up is over. He then raises his wrist, his Mega Ring blazing to life. Gallade! It is time. Mega Evolve! A torrent of energy engulfs Gallade as its forms shift, with its blades extending, its power surging. The sheer force of the transformation sends a pulse through the air, and suddenly, Ash and Lucario freeze at this flood of aura. A vision surges in their minds, a memory long forgotten. Lucario stands in a sunlit glade, training under Sir Aaron's watchful gaze. Your aura, the ancient human murmurs. You've only begun to tap into its true power. Sir Aaron then holds up his glove, revealing an aura crystal embedded within it. A keystone glimmers. One day, we'll travel to a far land to unlock its secrets. The memory then fades as quickly as it came, as Lucario and Ash snap back to reality, Mega Gallade standing before them. For a moment, they share a look, a silent understanding. There's still a personal journey ahead, but first, this battle must end. Lucario's body is ready as its spirit burns brighter. Ash's voice rings out, fierce and unwavering, calling for an Aura Sphere. However, Mega Gallade wastes no time in cutting it down with the Leaf Blade, demonstrating just how fast and powerful it has become, before once again closing the gap between it and Lucario and landing a barrage of close combat hits once again on the fighting steel type. In this moment, Lucario is overwhelmed by the sheer power of the Mega Evolution. It's at this time that Ash quiets his mind, as Lucario is unresponding to his words. He reaches through the aura to his fighting type. Lucario, listen, I need you to hear my thoughts. You can overcome this. You can win this. I need you to focus. Now, put everything you have into a reversal. Responding to the call of its trainer through the aura, Lucario's body glows crimson as it channels its remaining strength, lunging at Mega Gallade with desperation. Putting everything it has, the attack connects hard, reversal growing stronger the more injured its user is. And this one lands like a hammer, driving Gallade into the battlefield at the feet of Lucario. Ash lets out a sigh of relief as Lucario was finally able to break the attack that was happening upon it. However, this momentary drop in their guard is is all that Rinto and Gallade needs, as the trainer commands for Gallade to use a close combat and cut through the dust. The Mega's blades flash as it delivers a final flurry of devastating blows to Lucario. The fighting type tries to block, but the assault is way too much. The speed and strength that Gallade still has is far too much for Lucario to keep up with. Even with all of its training and aura, it can't get past the sheer power of a Mega Evolution. It eventually becomes so overwhelmed that it's unable to block any more of the hits, even with Ash trying to act as its second eyes. Then, with one last thunderous hit, Lucario crashes to the ground, its aura flickering out as it faints. The crowd grows silent once again as the referee swings his arm down. Lucario is unable to battle. Gallade wins. Victory goes to Rinto. Ash exhales in disbelief as he returns Lucario to his ball. At this point, Lucario had remained unchallenged since it evolved, and for it to suffer this devastating of a loss so quick leaves the boy in a bit of shock, though he tells Lucario that it was amazing, though he's sorry that he was unable to be the type of partner that it needed in this moment of battle. Ash looks deep into the ball of Lucario. He knows that there's more that they have to unlock as his resolve hardens in his chest. Somewhere out there, the secrets of Aura and Mega Evolution are awaiting the two, and he and Lucario will find them. Back at the Aether Paradise, the tension is palpable as Burnett finishes scanning through the timestamps, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. It's in this moment she lets out a gasp as she discovers the most recent one, mere minutes ago. Gary, standing beside her with his arms crossed, leans in and asks if she's pinpointed the location. If they can track it down, they might finally uncover who's been behind the security breaches. Burnett's face pales as the coordinates flash on the screen. Faba's lab. Yet worse, the log confirms that someone used the access code to deactivate the containment unit for the red crystal. A chill runs down her spine. This isn't just a thief, it's a catastrophe waiting to happen. At Gary's urging, she pulls up the lab security feed, and the footage reveals the culprits, Meowth, Marini, and Mimikyu, slinking through the lab with a practiced stealth. Gary's eyes narrow. He recognizes them. They had been with a group of refugees that were brought in a week ago, blending in perfectly. Then it hits him. That Meowth had been in a lab before. He remembers it now, the way it had loitered near his workstation while he studied the crystal. That must have been the way he stole the passwords. Go, standing nearby, frowns, his sudden realization. I've seen that Meowth before, he says, before his expression darkens. It's Team Rocket's Meowth. Gary's jaw tightens. Of course. It all makes sense now. Without wasting another second, Go turns to Burnett. Can you track where they are now in the facility? She nods frantically, fingers darting across the console. But before she can lock onto their exact location, a deafening alarm blares through the entire Foundation. Red lights flash as the security system engages, locking down corridors and sealing exits. Burnett's hands tremble as she checks the source of the breach, and then she screams. It's coming from Fraba's lab again. The screen flickers to life, displaying a live feed of Meowth standing triumphantly before the wormhole generator, the red crystals clutched in his paws. With a wicked grin, it slots the crystal in place and activates the machine. Gary and Go exchange a single, horrified look. After what happened with Melmetal and the unstable wormholes before, they know exactly how disastrous this could be. Without another word, they bolt from the control room, sprinting down the hallways toward the lab. Burnett's voice echoes after them, frantic. Hurry! We've only got seconds before that wormhole opens. The fate of the Aether Paradise, maybe even the entire region, hangs in the balance. With the unknown looming danger back at the Aether Paradise, we shift perspective over to Manalo Stadium, as Rinto's Mega Gallade stands confident in the middle of the battlefield, the final choice of the trainer for this full 6-on-6 battle for the title of Alola's champion. Across from him stands Ash, with only one Pokemon left to his roster as well. Turning, the boy tells Pikachu that it's all up to it. The bounce nods as it sparks from its cheeks before jumping in to face off against the Mega Pokemon. Mega Gallade's blades gleam under the sun of Alola. It stands poised and ready, while Pikachu's cheeks spark with electricity, its tails twitching in anticipation. With the referee giving a call to start the final battle, Rinto smirks, confidence radiating as he calls out, Gallade, close combat! In a motion, Gallade lunges forward, its fists a flurry of devastating strikes. Pikachu barely manages to dodge the first few blows before the sheer power and speed of the fighting type move grazes him, sending it skidding back slightly. Ash grits his teeth, but grins. Not bad, but we've faced Mega Evolutions before. Pikachu, Electro Web! The mouse leaps high before spinning as it unleashes a crackling net of electricity that wraps around Mega Gallade. The attack sizzles against the psychic fighting type, dealing solid damage and slowing its movement. Rinto's eyes widen slightly. He hadn't expected Pikachu to counter so effectively. You're good, Ash, Rinto admits, gripping his Z-ring. But let's see how you handle this. He raises his arm, the Z-crystal glowing. But before he can activate it, a devastating roar echoes through the stadium. A pillar of crimson Dynamax energy erupts from the direction of the Aether Paradise, shaking the ground. Then, the sky begins to darken across the region, as twisted wormholes tear open across Alola, their usual rainbow hues tainted with a swirling Dynamax energy. Panic Panic begins to erupt as the crowd screams, trainers and spectators fleeing in terror. Then, with a thunderous crash, a wormhole rips open right above the battlefield. In this moment, both Rinto and Ash watch as something begins to emerge through a monstrous buzzswole. But this is no ordinary Ultra Beast. Its body swells violently, veins pulsating with Dynamax energy as it grows while emerging, towering in size, its muscles bulging grotesquely. Ash and Rinto exchange a glance, their rivalry forgotten in an instant. It seems that Buzzswole is having an adverse reaction to the Dynamax energy, causing it to attack frantically at any movement, aiming its aggression at the people that are fleeing the stadium. Both Ash and Rinto realize that they're going to have to draw its attacks, so the two share a glance, nodding sharply, before Rinto gives the first command. Gallade, Leaf Blade. Mega Gallade's arms ignite with emerald energy as it slashes upward, the grass-type attack cutting deep into Buzzwole's abdomen. The Ultra Beast roars, but it barely flinches, its sheer size and bug fighting typing lessening the blow. Pikachu, Thunderbolt, full power, Ash yells. The electric mouse's entire body surges with electricity before unleashing a devastating bolt straight at Buzzwole's chest, the same area that Gallade had just struck. The attack strikes true, and this time, the Dynamax beast staggers, its massive frame convulsing from the shock. Buzzwole retaliates with a max knuckle as it swings down with a Dynamax-powered fist. Gallade, protect, Rinto shouts. A shimmering barrier erupts just in time, absorbing the crushing blow and protecting both it and Pikachu, but the force still sends Mega Gallade sliding backwards, its defense is strained. Ash doesn't waste a second. Pikachu, quick attack into Iron Tail. The mouse blurs forward, slamming into Buzzwole's knee before flipping mid-air, its tail hardening and gleaming metal. The Iron Tail smashes into Buzzwole's jaw, the sheer force of the impact making the Titan snarl in pain. Rinto seizes this opening. Now, Night Slash! Mega Gallade's blades darken with shadowy energy as it delivers a ruthless slash across Buzzwole's torso once again. The attack lands hard, but Buzzwole's Dynamax form refuses to go down easily. With a guttural growl, it flexes, Dynamax energy surging as it prepares another devastating strike. The battle isn't over. The two trainers brace themselves, their Pokemon standing firm. Against a Dynamax Ultra Beast, they'll need everything that they've got. Back at the Aether Paradise, the air crackles with energy as Meowth finally stabilizes the swirling vortex of the Ultra Wormhole. His claws tremble with exhaustion, but his eyes burn with determination. Turning to Marini and Mimikyu, he reveals the harsh truth. He couldn't open a portal directly to Jessie and James. The best he could do was to trace their last known location, a place where a broken machine holds the coordinates to where their whereabouts are. If he can repair it, he can open up another wormhole straight to them. But there's a catch. If they go now, the risks of getting trapped in Ultra Space, if the machine fails, is high. The two Pokemon exchange a glance, their resolve hardening in unison. Without hesitation, they nod. They're coming, no matter the danger. Just as Meowth prepares to leap through, Gary and Go burst into the room, their voices sharp with urgency. Shut it down, Meowth, Go demands, his eyes darting to the unstable energy fluctuations rippling through the paradise. This thing could tear apart the entire facility. But Meowth's ears flatten, its tail lashing. I ain't backing down now, twerps. My friends are out there, and I'm bringing them home. Before the argument can escalate, Burnett's voice crackles over the intercom, her tone strained. We've got a major problem. Ultra wormholes are open all over Alola. As if on cue, the box in Marini's grip suddenly pulsates with a sinister red glow, reacting violently to the nearby crystal. The wormhole shudders, its edges fraying like torn fabric. We gotta go now, Meowth yells, already halfway through the portal. Mimikyu darts in after him, but Marini hesitates. The box won't budge. It's as if some unseen force has anchored it to the ground, resisting its every tug. Drop it, Meowth screeches, watching in horror as the portal flickers, shrinking by the second. Meanwhile, Gary and Ghost scramble to shut down the machine, their fingers flying across the controls. But before they can make any progress, the entire Aether Paradise lurches violently, sending equipment crashing to the floor. Marini loses her grip and the box clatters to the ground as Burnett's voice returns, tight and panicked. We have a new problem. Melmetal is awake, and it seems to be reacting to the crystal and the box. The ground trembles as the colossal Pokemon stirs, its metallic body groaning as it begins to expand, its form twisting and warping. Go's eyes widen in realization. It's Gigantamaxing, he shouts as they watch on from the adjacent lab. We have to get that box away from it. Thinking fast, Gary barks an order to his Electivire as he calls for it from its Pokeball. With a thunder punch, the chamber holding the crystal shatters, unleashing a surge of raw energy. The radiation fuels Melmetal's transformation, its body swelling uncontrollably. Are you insane? Go yells, but Gary, already moving, Electivire, grab the box and the crystal. The levitating object hums with unstable power as Electivire hurls them straight into the wormhole. For a brief moment, there's silence. Then chaos. Melmetal's Gigantamax form erupts in full, its massive limbs smashing through the walls of the Aether Paradise like paper. Gary and Go dive for cover as debris rains around them. The beast, now freed from the box's influence, turns its attention towards Manalo Stadium, drawn by the residual energy of Ash and Rinto's Z moves. Go makes a move to follow, but Gary grabs his arm, his gaze locked onto the still open Ultra Wormhole. We've got a bigger problem, he mutters. The portal's view has shifted, no longer showing the world Meowth and the others landed in, but a nightmarish landscape of pure destruction. And worse, something is moving within it, something massive. As the first shadowy limb reaches through the threshold, warping and expanding as it Dynamaxes in real time, Gary's voice drops to a grim whisper. We're not leaving anytime soon. Back at Manala Stadium, the air is filled with residual energy as Ash and Rinto stand triumphant, their Z-moves having just overpowered the colossal Dynamax Buzzwole. The massive Ultra Beast roars as it reverts to its normal size, its muscular form wraithing before being violently sucked back into the swirling vortex of the Ultra Wormhole. With a final thunderous snap, the portal closes, leaving the battlefield entirely quiet. Ash wipes his brow, panting but grinning as he turns to Rinto. "That was incredible," he exclaims, nodding towards Rinto's Mega Gallade, its blade-like arms gleaming under the Alolan sun. "Your Gallade is seriously strong." Rinto smirks, crossing his arms. "Maybe, but out of all the Z-moves I've seen since I've come to Alola, Pikachu's is on another level." The two share a brief, breathless laugh, but their moment of victory is shattered when Ash's Rotom phone buzzes urgently. Burnett's frantic voice bursts through the speaker. "Ash, you need to get out of Manala Stadium now!" Ash blinks in confusion. Why? What's going? But before he can finish, the ground trembles beneath them, a distant but unmistakable boom echoing through the air. Then he sees it. Towering over the horizon, its metallic body glowing with unstable Dynamax energy, is Melmetal. His Melmetal. Ash's stomach drops. "No way," he mutters. Burnett's voice crackles again. "It must have been overloaded by Dynamax energy. It's heading straight for you, drawn by the power of your Z-moves." Rinto pales, grabbing Ash's arm. "We need to go." But Ash doesn't move. His fists clench. Pikachu, though exhausted, meets his gaze with the same fierce determination. They can't run. If they don't stop Melmetal now, who will? Rinto stares at the champion like he's lost his mind. "Ash, you're crazy. Pikachu's spent, and Gallade can't take this thing on alone." But Ash shakes his head. "We're not backing down." Before Rinto can argue, the ground shakes violently. Melmetal has arrived. Its massive fists slam into the battlefield, sending debris flying as it lets out a distorted metallic roar. With no time to strategize, Ash and Rinto leap into action, but their Pokemon are already worn from the earlier battles. Pikachu's movements are sluggish, and Gallade, though still powered by its Mega Evolution, struggles to keep up. A devastating max steel spikes from Melmetal sends Pikachu hurling backwards, only for Mega Gallade to barely intercept the blow at the last second. Ash's heart pounds. With Pikachu now down, he's out of Pokemon. Now, it's all up to Rinto, just like he had said. Mega Gallade fights valiantly, its Psycho Cut slicing through the air, but Melmetal's rampage is unstoppable. One brutal G-Max Meltdown attack sends Gallade skidding across the battlefield, its energy flickering dangerously. It's about to be finished, when suddenly, a blinding golden light erupts between them. The force of it halts Melmetal's mid-strike, and as the radiance fades, a familiar figure hovers protectively in front of Ash. Tapu Koko. The island guardian's eyes gleam with intensity as it faces the raging metal monster. Ash is stunned. "Why are you here?" he thinks to himself. Then it hits him, just like Professor Kukui said before. Tapu Koko has chosen to fight with him. Glancing at his injured Pikachu, at Rinto, and Gallade, Ash knows this is their last chance. Steeling himself, he raises his Z-Ring, the crystal flashing in sync with Tapu Koko's electric aura. "Alright," he breathes. "Let's save Melmetal and Alola. Together." With Ash and Tapu Koko preparing to unify for the first time, we move back to the destroyed Aether Paradise. As Gary and Ghost stand their ground in the crumbling ruins, their eyes locked onto the monstrous figure emerging from the swirling wormhole before them. A massive, shimmering Guzzlord, its dark, gluttonous form gleaming an eerie, unnatural hue, lumbers forward, its gaping maw dripping with corrosive saliva. The moment its colossal feet touch the ground, the Ultra Beast lets out a devastating roar, its body surging with Dynamax energy. The very foundations of the Aether Paradise tremble as Guzzlord grows even larger, its destructive power tearing through walls and machinery alike. Then, in an instant, the wormhole snaps shut behind it, sealing the beast's fate. It is now trapped in Alola with no way back. Gary and Go exchange a quick glance before understanding the gravity of the situation. They don't act fast. Guzzlord will reduce the entire facility to rubble. Without hesitation, Go sends out his trusted team of Raboot, Dragonite, and Arctozolt, while Gary counters with his own powerhouse squad. Blastoise has already summoned Electivire and Umbreon. Their goal is clear: keep Guzzlord's attention fixated on them to prevent any further destruction. But, just as they brace for battle, their Rotom phones buzz simultaneously, flashing an alert. A raid battle has begun. At the same time, Go's screen lights up with a message from Professor Amaranth. His heart skips a beat. This is his third trial. His mission? Assist in the capture of the Ultra Beast before them, so Project Mew can study it. A surge of determination floods through Go, his mind narrowing to a single all-consuming thought. This is his moment, the chance he's been waiting for, the opportunity to prove himself as the best chaser Project Mew could ever need. His focus sharpens into tunnel vision, drowning out Gary's voice as his rival tries to strategize. Without a second thought, Go launches into battle, commanding Dragonite, Arctozolt, and Raboot with reckless intensity. But his inexperience with Dynamax-level battles quickly becomes apparent, as his chaotic attacks disrupt Gary's careful positioning, leading to disaster. Blastoise and Arctozolt are struck down in the crossfire, their strengths no match for Guzzlord's overwhelming power. Frustration burns in Gary's eyes as he grabs Go by the shoulder, forcing him to face reality. "You're making mistakes," he snaps, but Go barely hears him. His mind is locked onto one goal: capture Guzzlord, no matter what. With their teams dwindling, only Raboot and Electivire remain. The battle grows desperate, Raboot taking brutal hits until its Blaze ability once again ignites, flame licking across its fur. Yet even this isn't enough. Just as hope seems lost, Gary's Rotom phone begins to ring. It's Professor Burnett. Her voice is urgent. Gary, the lab next to you. It has beast balls. If you hurry, you can end this. Realizing that this is their only shot, Gary makes a split-second decision. Hold it off, he orders Go before sprinting away. Go smirks, believing Gary is retreating, finally leaving him to claim victory alone. With renewed fire, he and Raboot fight with everything that they have, pushing past their limits. The pressure is too much. Raboot's body erupts in a brilliant light as its form begins to shift, growing taller, stronger. In this moment, and with Go's confidence in his starter, Cinderace now stands before him, its powerful legs coiled like a spring. With a mighty cry, it launches a devastating Pyro Ball at the command of its trainer, the attack striking true. Guzzlord roars in pain as the Dynamax energy begins to flicker and fade, them finally causing enough damage to it. The Ultra Beast begins to shrink back to normal. However, it's not done battling. This forces Go to call for one final Pyro Ball that sends the Ultra Beast crashing into the ground, finally defeated after all of the destruction that it had caused. Go's chest swells with triumph. This is it. He pulls out a Pokeball, ready to seal his victory, only for a Beast Ball to shoot past him, striking Guzzlord's mid-capture. The Ultra Beast vanishes inside, the capsule snapping shut with a decisive click. Go whirls around, his elation twisting into fury as he sees Gary standing there, arms still outstretched from the throw. You! Go's voice trembles with betrayal. Gary, you stole my moment, stole proof that I was worthy, stole my chance to shine. However, Gary doesn't flinch, calmly recalling Burnett to confirm the capture. Their Rotom phones buzz again. The raid battle is over. Go's third trial is complete, but as he stares at the notification, then back at Gary, there's no satisfaction. Only a simmering unspoken tension, thicker than the smoke rising from the battlefield. The rivalry between them has just reached a boiling point, and neither is backing down. Back at Manalo Stadium, the battle rages on as Z-Energy crackles with each clash of Tapu Koko and Melmetal. Ash stands at the center of this chaos, his voice cutting through the noise as he calls out for Melmetal, desperate to reach the rampaging Pokemon. But Melmetal, overwhelmed by the surging energy coursing through the battlefield, has lost all of its focus, its metallic body twitching and lurching, reacting blindly to the erratic bursts of energy left in the wake of Tapu Koko's electric terrain. Seeing this, Ash shifts into defense, commanding Tapu Koko to divert Melmetal's attention away from the last few stragglers evacuating the stadium. For a moment, it works, until disaster strikes. Tapu Koko, despite its legendary status, is no match for Melmetal's devastating Max Steel spikes when the attack lands sparingly on the guardian deity. The sheer force sends Tapu Koko crashing through the battlefield, buried beneath the shattered remnants of the stadium floor. Ash's heart pounds as he shouts for the fallen Tapu, his voice laced with panic. For a terrifying moment, silence hangs over the battlefield. Melmetal stands unopposed, its massive form pulsating with unstable Dynamax energy. Then, as if answering a silent call, 4 distinct cries pierce the air. Ash and Rinto whirl around, just in time to see Tapu Koko emerging from the rubble, shaking off the debris with a defiant screech. But it's not alone. Soaring in from different directions, Tapu Lele, Tapu Fini, and Tapu Bulu descend upon the battlefield, their presence radiating power. Having subdued the Ultra Beasts across the Alolan Islands, the Guardians have come together, drawn by one purpose. Their eyes lock onto Ash, the Alolan champion, and without hesitation, they surround him, their bodies glowing with the sacred light of Alola. The energy swirls around Ash, surging through him like a tidal wave, revitalizing both Pikachu and Gallade in an instant. Rinto can only stare in awe, his voice barely above a whisper as he asks, "What is this?" Ash, his expression fierce with determination, responds, "This is the power of Alola, the power of sharing. We're going to win this, together." Pikachu, now crackling with renewed strength, leaps into position at the center of the Tapus, his cheeks sparking wildly. Ash braces himself, his Z-ring blazing back to life as Melmetal's attention snaps toward him, drawn by the overwhelming energy. Tapu Koko darts forward, its movements urgent, and before Ash can react, a new Z-crystal materializes before him, pulsating with the combined might of the Island Guardians. In a flash, Tapu Koko snatches Ash's Z-ring, and before his eyes, the 4 Tapus pass it between them, reshaping it into something greater, an upgraded Z-ring for 2 crystal slots. Realization dawns on Ash. This is their answer. With a deep breath, he secures the reforged Z-ring onto his wrist, sliding Tapu Koko's crystal beside Pikachu's. The moment the crystals click into place, an electric surge courses through him, the very essence of Alola resonating in his veins. Just then, Professor Kukui, Lana, Malo, and Sophocles arrive, having helped evacuate the last of the civilians. Their eyes widen as they witness Ash standing bathed in golden light, his movements perfectly synchronized with Tapu Koko's. Kukui gasps. This is the legend Burnett spoke of. The night before, she had uncovered ancient texts in the Altar of the Moon when going over some of the previous research she had done, recounting the tale of an outsider who united Alola by commanding the Island Guardians themselves. But now, before his very eyes, Ash is fulfilling that prophecy. The battlefield erupts in emotion as Tapu Bulu, Tapu Lele, and Tapu Fini raise their voices in a haunting chant, their energies flowing into Pikachu and Tapu Koko. Then, in a blinding flash, Tapu Koko unleashes its ultimate Z-move, Guardian of Alola, its form expanding into a colossal spectral warrior, its gaze locked onto Melmetal. The Steel Titan roars, charging another devastating attack. Kukui shouts in alarm, "Ash, that's a fairy-type move. It won't be enough." But Ash only grins, his eyes blazing with confidence. "Don't worry, Professor. This is something new. With a synchronized cry, Pikachu leaps onto Tapu Koko's outstretched hand, his body absorbing the combined might of the Guardians. In this moment, Ash and Pikachu move as one, their bond transcending anything they've ever achieved before. Then, with a mighty heave, Tapu Koko hurls Pikachu forward like a living thunderbolt. Ash's voice rings out as he names their ultimate attack, Alola United! Melmetal fires a point-blank blast, but Pikachu plows through it, a golden comet streaking across the battlefield before slamming into Melmetal with earth-shattering force. The impact triggers a cataclysmic explosion, the Dynamax energy within Melmetal burning out as it shrinks back to its normal form, collapsing unconscious. The shockwaves send debris flying, but the Tapus act quickly, catching Pikachu midair and delivering him safely back to Ash's arms. Breathing heavily, Ash rushes to Melmetal's side, relief flooding him as Kukui and the others gather around. "Are you two okay?" Lana asks urgently. Ash looks up at Tapu Koko, then to his friends. A tired but triumphant smile spreads across his face. "Yeah, we came together, and we saved everyone." The Tapus dance in celebration, their joy infectious, until Rinto approaches, his expiration unreadable. Ash meets his gaze, determination flashing in his eyes. "We still have a battle to finish." Rinto blinks, then gestures to the ruined stadium around them. "Ash, there's no battlefield left." The reality then sinks in, and Ash's shoulders slump, but only for a moment. Rinto watches him, a newfound respect stirring in his chest. This is why Ash is Alola's champion. Before the weight of the moment can settle, Kukui's rotom phone buzzes. Burnett's frantic voice crackles through, delivering dire news. The Aether Paradise lies in ruins, and not all of the Ultra Beasts across Alola were able to be returned home. Some of them are still loose on the islands. Ash's expression hardens. The battle may be over, but their fight isn't. Turning to his friends, he doesn't hesitate. Alola needs us, and it's time to reassemble the Guardians. Let's get to work. The Tapus chime in agreement, their glow undimmed. Together, they move forward, because in Alola, no one stands alone. A week later, Ash and Go stand on the bustling pier of Alola, salty ocean breeze ruffling their hair as they prepare to board the boat that will take them back to Kanto. Surrounding them are their Alolan friends, Professor Kukui, Burnett, Lana, Malo, Sophocles, and Ash's little brother Lay, all gathered to bid them farewell. The mood is bittersweet. Though their time in Alola has been filled with adventure and camaraderie, they know that they can't stay here any longer. Professor Cerise is waiting, and Chloe, who they were supposed to meet back up at her school over a week ago with, is undoubtedly wondering where they are. Kukui steps forward, placing a reassuring hand on Ash's shoulder. His voice is warm but firm, as he tells Ash that he'll be rooting for him in all of his future battles, especially in the World Coronation Series. "If facing Leon is your goal, then I know you'll climb as high as you want," Kukui says with conviction. He then adds a word of caution, reminding Ash to keep his eyes out for Rinto, the skilled trainer whose battle with Ash was left unfinished. "If you meet him again in the tournament, he'll be looking to settle things," Kukui warns. Ash grins, pulling the professor into a tight hug. "I'll be ready," he promises, his voice brimming with determination. Nearby, Burnett turns to Go, her expression grateful yet knowing. She thanks him for all of his help in capturing Guzzlord, but the compliment makes Go tense. His smile is strained as memories fled back, Gary's harsh words echoing in his mind. After the chaotic battle, when Gary had finally secured Guzzlord and Go was accepted into the Chaser program, Gary hadn't held back. He had scolded Go for his recklessness, for letting his pride get in the way of teamwork. "Pokemon got hurt because you acted alone," Gary had said, his tone sharp with disapproval. "You may be a chaser in name now, but you've got a long way to go before you've truly earned that title." The words had stung, and Go hadn't seen Gary since. Shaking off the memory, Go murmurs a quiet thank you to Burnett, though his mind is still heavy with guilt. Burnett then shifts her attention to Ash, assuring him that she'll keep him updated on Melmetal's condition. "The good news is, it seems to be back to normal. All the excess energy had dissipated since your battle with it," she explains. Still, she wants to monitor Melmetal a little while longer, just to be certain. Ash nods appreciatively, relieved that his steel-type companion is recovering. Before they can linger any longer, the final boarding call rings across the pier. Lana, Malo, and Sophocles quickly step forward, their face etched with concern. "If you see Kiawe out there, let us know, okay?" Lana says, her usual playful demeanor subdued. Ash gives her a firm nod. "We will," he assures them. With one last round of goodbyes, Ash and Go step onto the boat, the gangplanks lifting behind them. As the ship pulls away from the harbor, Ash and Go stand at the railing, the golden Alola sun casting long shadows over the water. Ash hops onto Pikachu's shoulder, his ears twitching as the islands go smaller in the distance. Ash's fingers tighten around Lucario's Pokeball. There's somewhere they need to go once they reunite with Chloe, a destination burning in his mind. Glancing at Go, he sees his own mixture of determination and reflection mirrored in his friend's eyes. Together, they watch Alola disappear on the horizon, the waves carrying them toward their next next adventure. As action goes, direction takes them back to the Kanto region. We'd now shift perspective back to Galar. The rhythmic clatter of train wheels fills the air as the group speeds south through the snowy expanse of Galar. Outside the window, the landscape blurs into a streak of white and gray, but one sight catches their attention, a familiar metallic glint. There, perched in the window of the train, is Magirna, its delicate doll-like form unmistakable even in the harsh winter light. Behind it stands Lily and Gladion, their breath forming small clouds in the chilly air that enters the train as they watch the ancient Pokemon intently. Lily leans forward, her gloved hands pressing against the cold glass, her voice hesitant yet hopeful. Magirna, are you sure this is the way to Father? The artificial Pokemon tilts its head slightly before nodding, its gears whirring softly. Suddenly, its chest plate glows, and then a thin beam of golden light shoots out, illuminating a distant cluster of buildings nestled between towering snow-capped peaks. Gladion squints, following the beam's trajectory before recognition flickers in his eyes. That's Freezington, he murmurs, his tone laced with skepticism. A tiny village in the middle of nowhere? What could Father possibly be doing all the way out here? Lily's fingers curl around her coat sleeves, her mind racing with possibilities, none of them comforting. Before she can voice her doubts, a calm but firm voice cuts through the tension. Lusamine steps forward, her presence as composed as ever, though her eyes betray a flicker of weariness. Ultra wormholes don't discriminate by location, Lily, she reminds her daughter gently. They can appear anywhere, even in a place as remote as this. Lily exhales, her breath fogging the window for just a moment before dissipating. I hope this isn't another dead end, she admits, her voice barely above a whisper. The weight of their long search presses down on her, but Lusamine places a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We have to have faith, she says, her words steady. If your father is out here, we will find him. Just then, a soft chime interrupts the moment. Lusamine's rotom phone buzzes to life, its screen flashing with an incoming message from the Aether Paradise. Her expression remains unreadable as she scans through the content. Reports of chaos back in Alola, of Ultra Beasts breaking through, of Ash Ketchum once again in the thick of all of it. A shadow of concern passes over her features, but she quickly locks the screen, tucking the phone away without a word. Now is not the time to distract the others, not when they are so close. They spent too long chasing her husband's trail to turn back now. The train lurches slightly as it picks up speed, the tracks humming beneath them. Snowflakes whip past the windows in a frenzied dance as the engine surges forward, carrying them deeper into the Crown Tundra, toward answers, toward hope, or perhaps toward another mystery waiting to unfold. And this is where we are going to end Ash's season in Alola. So tell me, how did you feel about everything that's been revealed in Season 5 of What If Ash won the PWC? How do you feel about the evolution that Lucario had at the beginning of it? How do you feel how I unfolded everything across Ultra Space, revealing that Pierce has now entered the fold and has a grand, bigger picture in the scheme of things? What is Rose up to now that he's captured Solgaleo, Lunala, and Necrozma? And why is he after other dragons that are spread out across the Pokemon world, particularly the ones in Unova? What about Meowth, Mimikyu, and Marini? Where exactly are they going, and are they going to be able to make their way back to Jesse and James? How about Ash's title defense and how it turned out? Are you happy with the results as he was interrupted by a cataclysm that threatened Alola itself? What about Ash's new Z move? Do you enjoy what it is and the theme behind it, as well as its name? And let's not forget the fact that Go finally got his third trial mission and became a chaser, and in the process of it, his starter finally fully evolved. But it seems he has other things to worry about now that he's obtained that title. And let's not forget that one final flashback that Ash and Lucario had when they were facing off against Mega Gallade. We know that Ash's journeys in Kanto are left unfinished, as there is one final place that he has to return to. The question is he going to find what he is looking for? And where is it going to take them going forward? And how about the entrance of Lily, Gladion, and Lusamine? Why are they being brought down to the Crown Tundra in Freezington? And knowing what we know, with their father currently in the captivity of Chairman Rose, how is this going to affect things going forward? Let me know what you guys' thought about this is in the comments down below. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.